You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include classism, apocalypse, climate disaster, death of loved ones, grief, mourning, ghosts, funerals, alcohol and drinking, complex relationships, and references to the death of children. Arc 4, Episode 31. Say Not Your Mercy. From Waiting for the Moon to Burn by Connie Chang. Waiting for the moon to burn. I do not dream of fire or dust. The story lies. Our home is rust. Wake not the flesh. My lungs are still. Invert my name. Thy worship kill. I do not weep or howl cruel to bite the hand that plays the fool. The tomb is bare. The soul is hollow. The flesh has wounds. No trust will follow. I do not speak of eating sin within a wire to my lost kin. Time rots the tongue of burden found. No hope to mend the journey bound. I do not mourn for worlds we lost, nor light that dies, nor dismal cost. The thread shall break, the end defy. Say not your mercy. Say not goodbye. Buta Ereber's shuttle truly was fit for a planetary lord. None of the others even came close. Not the vassal-class shuttles that escaped to Keseki first, carrying minor nobles within their gleaming diamond hulls. Not the mid-grade ships that escaped Keseki next, carrying merchants and scholars who did not enjoy luxury upon their voyage off-world so much as comfort and dignity. And certainly not the few remaining workhorses that escaped Keseki last, carrying common folk who crowded desperately into battered galleys and cargo holds. But all of these shuttles paled in comparison to Buta Ereber's Emperor-class G384 Nomad 4. The Nomad's proprietary schematics include designs for a gilded dining room, a gravitic fitness center, a thermal suite with heated ceramic loungers, a sound room, a theater, a piano bar, an archery range, a pool filled to the brim with real, filtered fresh water imported from off-world. Buta Erebor never got the chance to experience the amenities of his shuttle firsthand, on account of his wife shooting him in the knee and then the head. But Samishi Erebor did a damn good job stripping it for parts. After its death, it took on a new life. Its aluminum pelt was skinned into roofs and walls, shelter and safety. Its carbon fiber bones were melted down to make outrider parts and lightweight prosthetics. Its silica muscle was turned into blankets and insulation. Its steel veins became pipes and plumbing. And the copper-plated wiring of its nerves rerouted the energy of its excavated heart, sustaining the garden through even the harshest of storms. Only through its end could it be born anew. And now, Jack Tong has done a damn good job putting it back together. Not the way it was. No. That version of the shuttle lives in the past, and the past alone. There's a new version of the shuttle now. It towers a safe distance beyond the northern wall of the commune, so that the propulsion of its takeoff will not damage the garden or the people who choose to stay behind. This version of the Nomad is welded together from the corpse of its past self, the scavenged pieces of a revenant planet, and the hopes of a people that its mortal maker never intended for it to carry, but whom its body and ghost have protected for 10 long years anyway. It has new makers now. The survivors of the garden, the tears of Fuyumi, Strike Team Nova, Jack Tong, Samishi Erebor. It is no longer a nomad, but the last glass-tail butterfly of Kaseki. As construction nears completion, the PA systems of the garden crackle to life, now running solely on wind and solar power. Samishi's voice emerges from the static and rings throughout the commune. My friends, in just a few short days, the last glass-tail will be ready for departure. Now is the time for any and all of us to say our final goodbyes to this planet that has been our home, that has been our loved ones' home, our ancestors' home. All of the Outriders are now available to anyone and everyone who might wish to use them. Go to the places you need to go to. Bury the things you need to bury. Be safe. Lean on each other. And may your journeys be easy. At the southern wall of the garden, the gates yawn open to their fullest extent. Dozens of Outriders stand at the ready. One by one, the survivors of the garden arrive, take stock of their options, and go. Lone travelers hop onto hoverbikes, small groups board low-altitude skimmers, and larger parties congregate by dropships and cargo carriers. For many folk, the garden is the first and only home they've ever truly known. But for many others as well, they also had homes beyond these walls and these shields. Not just homes, but places of great personal importance. Ghosts who must be laid to rest. Now is the time to do so. In the wide open sky, above the desiccated taiga of Sumetai. Oblivion looms closer than she's ever been. She hollows out the horizon to such an extent that you cannot tell where the sky ends and the end begins. Everything feels less than it was, less colorful, less certain, less lived. But everything also feels less heavy, less loud, less insurmountable. Zinnia, what place do you plan to say goodbye to? And who do you invite to come with you?
I gotta go to Tower 19. In terms of who's coming with, it's simple. My right and my left hand. Bagoon and Libra.
We find you, Libra, and Bagoon at the gates now, looking over your options, surrounded by the hustle and bustle of outriders occasionally peeling away from the walls, and other groups convening, congregating, discussing the scars that they wish to finally bomb. Libra, of course, had been expecting this. Bagoon was surprised at the invitation, but touched. And now, as you scan the options in front of you, you also notice other familiar folk in the area. In particular, you notice Xainan. Xainan, what place do you plan to say goodbye to? And who do you invite to come with you?
Xainan's already made a promise. In fact, he landed on Keseki with this promise already in his bones, in his feet. He's been trying to fulfill this particular destination since he left. So, Xainan Esch will find a way in one of these outriders back to the Lodestar setting, Haruna Valley. And, well, he is going with Ozali's raid. Whether or not you call that an invitation or if they're going and he's going with them is another story entirely. But as he tries to figure out what that looks like, that same anxious energy trying to put on a kimono, figuring out what it's like to even attend a big funeral, Xainan both wants Nova there, but also knows that this is the end of Keseki. And we've been here for so long now that this home is also theirs. And he goes to find them to see what they want.
You find Lumièra, Seir, and Yinghe by the gate. Of course, the rest of Nova knew that there was a place, a grief, calling you. As soon as Samishi made that announcement, it's clear as day. So you're able to approach the rest of Nova, who are standing close to each other nearby.
Hey,
Hey.
I gotta go to Haruna. You're welcome to come with, but all three of you, we came here and, well, far be it from me to tell you that you don't also have stake here on Keseki now. You're welcome to come with me, but also I think you should go where you need to.
think Seir looks at Lumièra and Yinghe first before he steps forward, mainly to see how Lumièra feels.
You don't have to look far. Lumièra is on you, if not directly on your arm, like wrapped around it. She hasn't really let you get too far out of her grasp as of right now. Not far from her line of vision. She's oddly silent. She steps behind you, not really making eye contact with Xainan, just nods curtly.
Zai, this is your home. And you deserve that time with your family, with all of you. We'll be here for you when you're ready. There's somewhere I need to do what I didn't do before. Make right.
And at that, Yinghe speaks as well. Xainan, you know we all care about you so deeply. And we know what you have to do. And you know that there are things that we want and have to do as well. There are things that need archiving out there that deserve the chance to have their stories told and remembered as well.
We only have so much time. And there is no disappointment on Xainan. In fact, he kind of hoped that you all would choose your own paths. Not that he doesn't want you to share in this grief, but if we've learned nothing, it's that time is precious. All right. Well then, I'll be back. I'm coming back. And he makes a point to look at all three of them, one by one, a promise in those words and in those looks.
Then we'll see you here again.
We'll be
When
waiting.
we all come back.
Yeah. All right. Good luck. Don't let the dust get you. He turns heel.
Xainan, you go back to where Ozzel has currently been scoping out a skimmer in particular, a possible very viable candidate as the outrider for your journey. And Nova, Yinghe, is the one who makes meaningful eye contact with each of you and then turns toward Zinnia. Zinnia, you notice Nova approaching. And it is Yinghe who steps forward while Begun and Libra are arguing over the best outrider to take. And she says, "We want to come with. You're going to Tower 19, right?"
Yeah.
If you have us, of course.
Of course. No question. I think she just kind of looks at all of you and there's a moment of contemplation, almost of, I wonder what the journey has taken from you or given you. And she nods in understanding, I think, at Yinghe's request. We got room. In fact, you could help us pick out which one, because we're not going to figure it out the way that we're bickering about it.
Got it. I'll see if I can make sure that the one we pick is not that one. And Yinghe looks at the one that Libra is particularly enamored with, which would be the equivalent of like a junker Corvette, essentially. Very flashy, but not very pragmatic. And Seir, that is when you hear a beep, 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 a mechanical kind of whirring coming from your pocket from the direction of the Oracle. Do you take it out?
Hey. Oh, yeah. Oracle beeps at me. He fishes his hand into his pocket and pulls it up. Hello?
Hello, can you hold me up to Zinnia, please?
Sure. Holds up to Zinnia. I don't know what it wants.
And the oracle kind of spins on its spherical axis until its red eye faces Zinnia. And with each word, the light flashes to emphasize its syllables. And it says to you,
I know I'm coming along with because I'm in Seir's pocket and I go wherever he goes, but I want to do this for her, too. My sister, that's still there, at the top of the tower. It's time for her to come home.
Of course. And I think she bites back for a quick second, almost not letting the dam break for her.
we pan across the area of the front gates to find Xainan and Ozzel. The two of you have locked in your vehicle, your outrider. Ozzel has one hand on the sleek black hull of it, and they turn to look at you. And there is an understanding in the look that they give you. There are no questions that need to be asked, no plans that need to be discussed. You both know exactly what you need to do, the actions you have to take. So what they say to you is,
I'll be right back. Something I have to give to Zinnia.
Sure.
and Ozzel strides off and approaches you, Zinnia. And you can see that they're holding something in the palm of their hand. Something small, and it sounds metallic. It's clinking together as they draw closer. And there's something in the way that they're walking. Uncertain is not the right word. Vulnerable, perhaps. Now, so recently, you've seen Ozzel more vulnerable than the years and years that you've known them. They draw close and they say,
Got some luck for your journey here.
Thank you, Ozzel. And I think I hold a hand out to see what this is, while already reaching for something in my bag as well.
And when the 3 bullets drop into the palm of your hand, they are slightly warm from where Ozzel has been holding them. And you see on the brass sides of the bullets carvings, names. And Xainan, the glint of it catches your eye as well. The way that Ozzel had walked off told you it wasn't a wall they were putting up, simply a statement of fact of what they were going to do. The way they're positioning their body is not shutting you out. This is not a private moment just for them and Zinnia. They're letting you see this too. And both of you can see 3 names on each bullet. On one bullet, Jade. The second bullet, Ego. And the third, Iego. But as the bullets turn in the palm of your hand, Zinnia, there are 3 new words carved into the brass. On Jade's bullet, hope. On Ego's, freedom. And on Iego's, change. And Ozzel says to you,
Someone I need to kill. And something I need to plant. One for each member of Sunrise. It's a promise to each of them. Promise of vengeance. And a promise of transformation.
Zinnia is, I think, floored in this moment at this gesture and this gift. And I think Zinnia almost sounds a little dumbstruck, when she says, thank you. I have something for y'all, by the way. And you notice Zinnia has a bit more, like, equipment with her than normal. She packs light normally, but she has a relatively big pack of stuff. And I think she sets it down, almost looks through it for a second, and you see a book on raptors. And as a kind of bookmark, you see a slightly shining marigold. It had been well wrapped, maintained. For her.
Ozzel takes the book, their fingers trembling just slightly, looking at the cover, touching the marigold. And then they turn and look at you, Xainan, and hand the book to you, inviting you to touch this gift as well.
Xainan looks shocked. He didn't expect to feel so known in this moment. That to know Azal well enough to know Doxa is to be known. And he holds it, and his hands shake ever so slightly. But his hands take it with care, tenderness, gratitude. And he nods to you, Zinnia.
She would have loved this. Be safe on your journey.
You too. Both of y'all.
Zinnia.
She looks.
Xainan, who's been watching everyone moving around, all these outriders. Bring them home, yeah?
Of course. Never got to tell you this, but for what it's worth, really glad y'all came back safe.
Glad to be here. Good luck, Agent.
And Xainan, before you turn and approach the outrider that you and Ozzel had picked out, you see them still. They've not left since you noticed them. Sunrise, lingering around Zinnia, full of warmth and love. As it turns out, Libra, Yinghe, Lumièra, Seir, and Begun are able to settle. They compromise on a particular outrider, a no-frills, but serviceable and practical dropship that can easily hold all of you, with a little bit of room to spare. And Ozzel and Xainan, on the other hand, get into their skimmer. And with that, these two groups take off across the desiccated wasteland, kicking up massive plumes of dust in your wakes. And for some time, your outriders glide parallel to each other on a shared journey due south. But eventually, as you must, you split off in different directions, cutting your own paths toward the farewells that you owe yourselves, as well as Kaseki, as well as the grief that you will carry within your hearts always. Xainan. Inside the skimmer, which is roughly twice the size of a sedan, it is surprisingly quiet. Even though the landscape beyond the huge panoramic windows races past in a blur, and the repulsion thrusters, you can feel them vibrating underneath your feet. But it's a distant magnetic roar, like the crashing of waves from a shore miles away. Above you, the unlight of oblivion illuminates the control panel, the consoles. You are sitting in one of the pilot's seats, and Ozzel is next to you, sitting in the other. And it's just the two of you. Alone. Together. For the first time in a very, very long time. What's that like for you?
He's already accepted their presence again. His mind no longer poking at the edges, wondering when that's going to fall apart. But the new thing that has replaced that feeling is this goodbye, this slow farewell that has been being sung and spoken, acted on, built. And he can feel all the firsts that they never had before all of this catch up to him. They were gonna get it an Outrider and go to Haruna like everybody else is. That seems normal. And then it hits Xainan about an hour into it, that they've been alone for an hour. But more importantly, that this is the furthest journey in a vehicle on Kaseki he's ever taken. In fact, this is the furthest distance he will ever travel on the surface of Kaseki on roads that he doesn't know ever again. This is the only time he gets to do this, so there is a joy, a savoring, and a sadness to him as he looks around and whistles out the window. Did you ever go out this far?
Things blurred together in the dust. Maybe I've been here before, maybe not.
And you see their leg jittering ever so slightly, though the rest of their body is still. There is a nervous, uncomfortable energy that they're embodying. They look tense inside this vehicle, their eyes flitting at the blurred landscape beyond the window, not with joy and awe and wonder like you, but with suspicion, a tinge of fear.
Shut-off world. It was packed. Loud. So loud. Suffocating. And the trip out, it took so long. And it was moving so quickly, and none of us in there. None of us had any control over what it was doing. How fast it was going. Where it was going. Didn't like it. Didn't like it one bit.
Xainan rests a hand between them on a console. An invitation. Not a demand, just a passive statement of fact that he is listening and that he is here. Because, yes, he's enjoying the drive, but he knows where they're going. And he knows that this story has been locked inside of Azalis. And he just wants to be there, because this journey of grief is not alone.
And maybe it's because of the hand that you subtly but meaningfully rest on the console between the two of you. And maybe it's because they're finally sharing this stray observation, this thought that they had all those years ago when they first set foot on the shuttle and locked away and never thought about again until this moment. Or maybe it's both. But as Ozzel continues to talk, the jittering of their leg starts to slow down. And they say,
Riding a raptor. Hell, even taking a cart. Train feels different. And the shuttle did. Something about being able to feel my own body, control where it goes, what happens to it. But in that shuttle, you can't control nothing. You just gotta pray to ancestors out there. Hope they're listening. But
And at that, their leg finally stops moving. And they say,
being in here is different from the shuttle too. Don't like how high up we are, don't like how fast we're going. But at least we chose to be in here. At least we know where we're going.
It is a little high, isn't it?
Don't mind being high up when it's a mountain or a tree or building even. This
You
ain't
just
right.
want to be under your own power.
Yeah. Trunk of a tree or roots. Talons of a raptor. Something with bones.
Well, ain't gonna have to do this often.
Off-world. This is how all of them travel.
All of
there's a
them?
note of resignation and irritability at that, as Ozzo reflects briefly on their experiences off-world. But then, a light on the console starts to blink. Slowly at first, but very quickly gaining speed. And Ozzo furrows their brow. They lean forward and they fiddle with the console a little bit with a kind of pragmatic knowledge that is interesting to see them wield. They know how to fly this thing. They know how to navigate. And they say,
Telemetric sensors catching something. Seems like gravitic distortions or...
and they lift their eyes up to the window, and they let out a
Damn. Dust storm.
Shit.
you see it on the distant horizon brewing. It's not huge. Actually, it is a fraction of the size and, as far as you can tell, the intensity of the ones you've encountered up until this point, but it's still there. Flurries of dust, gusts of wind kicking grist up from the desiccated wasteland. And it is directly in your path. Ozzel hums to himself, wrapping their fingers against the console.
We should land. Don't look that big, but shouldn't take our chances.
Yeah, low visibility seems like a hazard, to say the least.
And the debris. That one don't look strong enough to pick up a house. But many of them are.
And with that, Ozzo begins to land the ship, fiddling with the controls, turning the wheel, and you feel your guts rise a little as it lowers toward the ground, and then eventually lands. Ozzel is careful to dock it close to a large rocky outcropping that blocks the direction of the gusts that are traveling toward you. So if the storm gets worse or joins another, you will at least have a good semblance of shelter. And as Ozzel is busy turning off the controls and settling the Outrider in so you can start hunkering down for however long you need to hunker down for, you see the initial gusts of wind preceding the heart of the storm, starting to flow and rush past the windows. But rush isn't quite the right word. It's not vicious. It's not biting. It's just blowing. You see particles of dust fluttering against your windscreen. And you feel something, Xainan. in the dust. Not anything that the telemetric sensors are picking up at all. But you certainly are. A presence? A person? And you hear the sound of something mighty but lightweight, scraping, scratching over the earth. Maybe 12 feet away from you, maybe only 3 inches away from you. Then you hear the fluttering of feathers.
And the concern that had begun to settle on Xainan's face, that weary habit brought on by surviving the dust and the dust and the dust, shakes off. He knows that pace, that feeling. In fact, he's been following this ghost for a while now. There you are. And he says it out loud, looking out into the dust.
Ozzel looks up as you say that, squinting into the wind, into the dust.
What? Sensors ain't picking anything up.
Yeah, sensors ain't gonna see shit. You know that thing I said about the ghosts?
Couldn't forget, even if I wanted to.
Sometimes being haunted's really useful. And Xainan Esch is going to open the door.
Yeah, as you get up and you start to open up the door, Ozzel's Raid stands up in alarm.
What do you think you're doing?
Look at it. Does this look like a howling, sky-blotting storm to you?
No. But it could turn at any instant.
It could. And he pushes the door open.
Esh. But as soon as you open the door, you can hear the not screaming or howling of the wind, but the whistling of it, the whispering of it. And it's not huge gouts of dust that pour into the vehicle as soon as you open it, but a couple of little flakes, like the first snowfall of winter, that land on the threshold as you exit the vehicle. And there's nothing Ozzel's Raid can do to stop you, short of physically stopping you, which they seem to consider for half a second as you exit, but then they just thump their fists against the side of the threshold and they go,
Damn. If you get us killed, I'm never forgiving you.
and they hop out of the ship to follow you.
You're just gonna have to hump me. And he turns towards the dust and lets out the same whistle he used to let out every morning to let the raptors know he was awake and heading in to muck stalls.
Your whistle travels through the whispering wind, and you can see them. The talon marks in the dust, right in front of your eyes. Tracks leading you to somewhere, someone. But as soon as your eyes see the tracks, just by coincidence and just by fate, a gentle gust of wind blows over it and covers it up again, giving you just enough track to follow before you have to lift your eyes to the next one. And it's like this, track by track, piece by piece, that you draw closer and closer to that presence you have felt this entire time, but in this particular place, in this particular moment, feels stronger than ever. Another piece of your heart. And then, a few minutes later, not too far from where you've parked and landed the Outrider, both you and Ozzel's Raid see a silhouette, an actual physical silhouette, not a ghostly one, rise out of the thin dust. And Dom, what do Xainan and Ozzel see of you and your back?
It's a leather canvas coat, one he hasn't had to wear for any particular reason since, but is useful here, having returned. And he stands over a very makeshift metal, plastic, glass monument that is half eaten away, half buried. It's been rubbed clean in the last little while. And in his hand, in the one he didn't lose, rests a small, dead recorder. And that's all right, because he can tell this story now. Took you long enough.
Xainan doesn't approach Dom like someone who was punched the last time they saw each other. He walks with love in every step. He knows why we are here. He knows where we're not and can figure the rest out. And that weight that's been hanging above his head finally sinks down into his chest. And he walks closer. Just stands beside you. Beside her.
And Azalis Raid take sentinel on the other side of you, Dom. As they do, they cut eyes between Xainan and Dom, trying to piece together just exactly how Xainan Esch could have known that he would be here, and then she cuts eyes from Xainan to the marker, to the gravestone. And the beginning of a deeper understanding starts to matriculate on their face. But first, they look back at Dom.
We're here. Late, but found you.
Oh, you are muted.
Interesting.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Fascinating. All right. Yeah, I thought you might. It's kind of funny, isn't it?
Funny how.
Yeah. The closer we get to the end, the nicer the storms are.
Well, this one was real kind.
Yeah. Almost unfair. The first one that hit took her. When I left, I found her 5 days out. She didn't even make it a week. And whatever it was that got her quick. So that's that, I suppose. And he reaches up to cradle that bandolier he carries. I carry 6 because she carried 6. She never got one off.
The pain on Ozzel's face is so visceral and enlightening. And I say,
Unfair ain't even the start of it. I wandered in this damn dust for longer than I can even remember, and I never found her. I never knew what happened to her. Not really.
Yeah.
For all the unended endings that Xainan Esch has found here, this real ending, the closing of a book, one titled Lightning, seems cruel, harsh. She was the fastest, the most vibrant, and you can see it hit him like a punch. And he just puts a hand on Dom's shoulder, squeezes.
I tried to bring her back. Got hit by the same thing that hit her. Courtesy of this, I guess. I made it out. There was a group of survivors nearby. They took me in, helped me bury her. And when I was 5 months later, when I was good enough to leave, they did the courtesy of only trying to talk me out of it once. And they loaded me up with masks, medicine, food. A week out from Lodestar. And I walked into the dust, and a week later I was in Rasu.
You never made it back.
Still haven't seen it yet.
Xainan, a heaviness begins to settle over this moment, over the monument, the grave to Piera. The grave to Piera. And you see her. Translucent. Ghostly. An echo, a fragment, a memory of the warmth of her skin, the freckles like stars, those pitch black scleras lingering atop that gravestone. She's sitting on the marker of her own death. Has been this whole time. Not just tied to this place. Tied to each of you. Tied to that bandolier that Dom carries with him always. And this whole time, as Dom's been talking, she's been nodding along. fickle grin on her mouth. Wry kind of. Yep, that happened to me. And the heaviness... The heaviness doesn't seem to touch her. Or rather, it don't seem to fit her.
Xainan stops looking at the dirt where at some point Dom and people that he now knows their faces, Kyrie and Tamina.
Yeah.
That folds them in like family. These other people that he just met. He stops looking there, and he looks to the headstone just above it. And this feeling, this seed deep inside of Xainan Esch, a flower placed there waiting to bloom, a cherry blossom, one planted in the dirt in the city of heaven at the end of a funeral, grows because Xainan thought all funerals looked like this. People standing, staring around in the dirt. You open a box of fireflies that we certainly don't have here no more. And you cry. But even in Xainan's living experience before the dust, not every sad story had that kind of grief in it. And here she is, the very face of it. That shit-kicking grin on her face stirs a memory inside of Xainan of dancing through the streets of the city of heaven. And he smiles at Pyrrha's ghost, because oh, does he have a funeral for her. And Xainan Esch, calling on the memory of the music of the city of gods, and the memory of 1,000 nights in taverns, drinking and laughing. He can remember Pyrrha 1,000 times saying that she was going to die with her boots on. She sure did. And Xainan remembers that she would never once be sorry for doing it. And so from the dust, Xainan remembers that bell that he summoned to distract our glass-tail butterfly friends. And he evokes a memory from Izakaya at the shores of the Haruna. And he goes looking for a fiddle. For the very spirit of the rabble-rousers of Keseki.
And from the whispering wind, from the sparse dust that doesn't bite at your hair and clothes so much as graze it like a gentle parting touch, you hear it. At first, a single draw of a bowstring across catgut, and then more and more and more of it becoming livelier and livelier as you pull on the sounds of the city of heaven's funereal procession, and you weave it in with the sounds from your own life, your own past, your own now, your own future. And the echo of the city of heaven's songs blends in with the echo of Pyrrha's favorite drinking song, of which she had many, but there was one in particular, of course, that she favored, and the noise of the fiddle grows louder and louder and louder and more raucous, and even though Dom and Azalis Raid can't exactly hear this in the same viscosity, the same volume, the same clarity as you can, you know that you are the psychopomp of ghosts. You are the bridge between mortals and the afterlife. You are the flesh that binds spirit and life and death together. The profane emptiness and fullness that occludes and covers both realms. So tell me, Xainan Esch, how do you bring these songs, bring these memories, bridge them together into life into this moment through your body, your voice, your vocal cords, your stomping feet.
He starts with a yo! Ha! He just leans his head back and yells like he woulda late at night, drunk in the streets. And with that, he begins to clap his hands, stomp his feet, move his body, because this grief is for Pyrrha. Our quick shot, our whip smart, throw caution to the wind person who taught Xainan Esch how to be brave.
And you can hear it, the bottoms of drinking glasses thumping against the tabletop of a beat-up tavern bar. And you hear, oh, I knew a girl from Mokuge, long black hair in a fancy braid. I knew a girl from Mokuge who liked to sip on wine. I knew a girl from Mokuge. She said I was her finest lay. I knew a girl from Mokuge but had to rob her blind. Bang, bang, she shot at me, but I was out the door. I got into my getaway, 'cause that's what friends are for. Bang, bang, she shot at me, 'cause I made her blue. She's a girl from Mokuge, but I'm an outlaw true. Yeah, she's a girl from Mokuge, and I raised an outlaw too. And as you sing and you stomp your feet and you holler, Dom and Ossel, well, at least for Ossel, they can't help but join. In the middle of it, Pyrrha's favorite drinking song, not just the girl from Mokuge, but her version of it, her little additional quips, and that line at the end, that she'll always add for Doxa every time.
Dom's not a good dancer. It's never stopped him trying, but here he listens. And he looks at that dead recorder in his hands. I guess I won't be needing this, Firefly. They know you just as well as I do. And he chucks it into the dust by the marker and leaves it there before turning around and oh my god, I'm gonna hate saying this, pounding his fist on 1 and 3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yep.
Oh, buddy.
No.
But it's
that tracks.
so Dom.
Oh, buddy.
It's
that
so
tracks.
Dom.
Somewhere across Kaseki, Lumièra shudders.
Pyrrha's ghost is kicking her feet. She's hopped off of her gravestone. She's dancing with the rest of you, laughing and hollering in a voice that sounds so far away and yet so close to your heart. And even Ossel, they have to do it for Pyrrha, because you know it. All of you know it. This is what Pyrrha would have wanted. This is the right way to mourn her, the right way to remember her. And as soon as you bring the memory of her favorite drinking song into reality, Xainan, it's like you break a dam. And everything just comes flowing out. The hollering, the stomping, and yes, the alcohol, the drink. Because when you're done with this round of singing, it is Azalis Raid who pauses, their duster flapping in the gentle breeze. They reach into a pocket and they pull out a small bottle that has not been unsealed since Azalis Raid first got their hands on it. And they say,
Well, damn. I've been meaning to save this for. Don't know exactly what. Shooting Buddha, I guess. But Lightning would appreciate this. Always
Silver
had good
Tongue, where'd you
taste.
get that?
You don't want to know.
And also cracks the seal open and starts pouring it for Pieta.
Xainan smiles. And the grief, the joy, the love of this incredible woman just comes flowing out of him. And as he is dancing and singing and whooping and actually hitting the beat, sorry, Dom.
Yeah.
He's also crying, but it feels so good because, yes, the past was home, but the whole time he was back there, all he wanted was this. They had their tomorrows. Hers ended here. But ours, the three of us, this is the one that he was looking for.
Dom, quickly realizing that he's not as fun to have around in that exact moment, does what he used to do but chooses it this time. He takes a seat, leans by the marker, rests his shoulder on it, and sitting inches away from a ghost he'll never know was there. Love you, Firefly.
The storm rolls through as the three of you sit and stand and talk and drink. And talk some more and drink some more and sing occasionally and reminisce. And time passes. How much? It's not important. The time passes as the three of you remember Pieta. And you drink to her memory. Drink to who she was. What she stood for. What kind of music she liked. What kind of girls she liked. What kind of boys she liked. And eventually, as the last of the drink starts to dwindle down, which, in any moment up until this point, perhaps Ozzel's raid would have considered a waste of provisions, even alcohol. But in this moment, no. No. They know, and as do all of you, that this is the way provisions were meant to be spent. Not even in the most dire of circumstances, especially in the most dire of circumstances. And then the dust, it's not as thick as it was, even though it wasn't very thick to begin with. And the wind isn't as loud as it was, even though it weren't that loud to begin with either. Ozzel's sitting at this point, nursing that almost empty bottle of whiskey that did taste very, very, very good. But they don't say,
Well, we should get going.
and they don't stand and walk toward the Outrider. Perhaps a past version of them would have. But in this moment, they just look at Dom, and they wait for as long as Dom needs.
Xainan does the same. He sits there. He enjoys sitting in the dust for once. It doesn't feel like misery and like a time unknown left in the howling gales has taken them. Just like they're home on a dusty day. And Xainan, when he waits, he sees the man that Pieta always described as strong, caring, smart, and always had a hard time and needed a nudge into the fight. But now they've both learned to move, because here he is.
Dom pulls his coat aside, and past the oversized revolver he carries, he reaches behind him, pulls out a smaller one. It's been lovingly maintained, though it's never been shot since. And he walks over to the marker, turning it over in his hands. Smiles, puts it back, tucks it under his coat again. Well, you led me where I needed to go. I'm gonna borrow this a little longer. Maybe it'll help everyone else. All right. Let's go. Let's go.
Xainan, Xainan pats Dom on the back, but his feet don't move until Dom's do.
Oh, now you guys are following me. And Dom walks toward the outrider.
And as soon as your feet move, as soon as you're ready, and you lead the way, Ozzel, too, takes that first step alongside you, Xainan Esch. Walking away from that monument of glass and metal, but not walking away from Piera. You couldn't, even if you wanted to. She's with all of you always. The dust swirls faintly. And when it clears, we see Tower 19. Looming tall, tall, tall into the sky. Exactly the same as when we last saw it. We pan down from where Oblivion's undark eye swallows almost the entire horizon to the base of Tower 19 to find 3 graves.
It feels, for a second, like I'm having that dream again. But it's real as it gets. The first grave marker is made of stone. She is steadfast and strong. She is the tallest of the 3, driven deep into the earth to stand watch until the end. The second grave marker is made of stone, and fair is patient and reserved. There is a crack in their base where a crawling monarch once made its nest, but no longer. Third grave. Third grave is made of stone, and he is spirited and true, honest to a fault, the relic of a hope long gone. He was always the smallest of the 3, and the hole that they make inside of my heart is the deepest. There are no names and no inscriptions, but that is etched into my soul. Here lies sunrise, fallen heroes of Kaseki.
Zinnia, you stand before them. And beside you stand Libra, Begoon, and Strike Team Nova. Looking at these graves for the first time in a very long time. In the flesh, in the physical world, the waking world, not the world of your dreams. Looking at these graves, with your left and right hands beside you, and Nova standing close by as well. How do they appear to you?
It feels almost like plain. It is coming it is dealing with the mythic and finding reality in its wake. These are just graves, and they carry so much, but these aren't the waking nightmares that they've been for so long for Zinnia. These are where the people she loves are.
And as you stand there, looking at these pillars of stone that don't loom like insurmountable walls in the psychic landscape of your subconscious, or like jagged spears that pierce your heart in the depths of your nightmares. They're just there, waiting for you to talk to them.
I think Zinnia very carefully puts down her bags. I think she reaches into her pack and pulls these 3 simple marigolds. They still have that hint of shine, a little bit of a magical sheen on them as she sort of makes her introduction. Hey y'all. I'm sorry it's been a hot minute since I've been by. It's been difficult. But there were some folks I needed y'all to meet. Everybody. And I think she gestures. First one. This is Cherry. Cherrywood if you're formal. This is Sochi. And this is Juniper. I thought it was important for y'all to get a chance to meet them, and it just meant a lot to me. I think she places the marigolds down one by one by one. And I think gives everyone the chance to introduce themselves if they like.
Seir feels so much standing before these graves, but this, I think, is the first time he has actually looked at them. Their shape, their sizes. Before, in his mind, they all were around the same height, with the names of Lumièra, Xainan, and Yinghe carved upon them. Not Juniper, not Sochi, not Cherry. They were his waking nightmares of his own making. And he was a very, very different man than he is right now. And in the midst of all of that, like a wolf fading beyond the light of a campfire, Seir feels it, that haunting shame of a sin that he had committed after seeing these graves. But Seir now steps forward, eyes straight ahead, even though he feels the thin, gangly presence behind him of a thread he once severed. I'm Seir. I think you are my seniors. From Strike Team Nova. And he looks at Zinnia almost like asking permission. He has a little bundle inside of a pouch that he's been carrying. May I?
She nods.
He unfurls the little pouch, and on the inside, made out of folded sheets of metal, probably from the debris of the construction of the ship, he has folded little images of the sun. Just sitting above a line representing the horizon, and he kneels down by these graves and just very gingerly places them like he's lighting an oil lamp at the base of each of these gravestones. And as he does so, he dusts his hands off and looks at them and mumbles very quietly to himself. I'm sorry I didn't really look at you before. But I'll remember you now, always. And he steps aside, retreats closer towards Lumièra before giving her forearm a little squeeze.
Unlike Seir, Lumièra remembers these gravestones perfectly. Sometimes her photographic memory is sometimes a blessing and a curse. And it's these three graves specifically that, coming here again, she realizes was the match to a flame that burned through all of this, for good or for bad. And that's her reckoning. That's her weight to carry. That's her mistake, her misjudgment. But it's not about her right now. It's about sunrise. It's about Kaseki. It's about everything that's laying here in the dirt and the dust, and everything that will be beyond this. So she leaves Seir's shadow and walks over to the graves. She has to reckon with this. No, she didn't necessarily have a hand in what brought this here, what brought Kaseki so far outside of the journey and fate's will that we're sitting here, but she would be a fool to ignore the part that she played in it, losing the remaining time that it had left. It sits in her stomach like a rock. It's uncomfortable. It's jarring. And it shakes her in a way that even having her powers locked from her didn't unravel. This is new for her. She makes mistakes. She knows she makes mistakes. But none quite like this. She's got to sit with that. So she does. She sits at the base of these three graves in silence. Her hands, both hands now, are full of dirt. At first she thought to sprinkle the dirt on each of the graves, but I think their spirits have felt enough of the dust. So instead, she places each handful of dust on top of the graves, securing it in firmly, steadily, like it's the only thing that could keep them tethered here. I am so sorry. That I almost made this for nothing. Your sacrifice was almost in vain. She shudders for a second, knowing how close she was to that completely coming to fruition. But as long as there is breath in my body, it won't ever be. Kaseki and this mission will live on far past oblivion. Far past you or me or anyone else. And she says this boldly, loudly. Her voice cracks a bit, but it still comes just as natural as breathing, as if she's been doing it her entire life, and realistically enough, not just a couple of months. As sure as my name is Lumièra, Ashiniobi, Osupa Feron, Kaseki and all others like her will live eternally. She kisses her teeth and scrambles slowly up from where she sat at the base of these graves and stands there. And she holds that weight, saying her name, her full name, out loud. And this feels like a rebirth her soul was primed for. She steps back.
And it is Yinghe who steps forward next, kneeling in front of all three graves, respectfully as they would in front of any ancestral shrine in any shaded temple of their own home. And Lumièra and Seir, you watch them perform a series of somatic gestures you've never seen them perform before until this moment, accompanied by few low murmuring phrases in a language that is not familiar to either of you, but sounds a little bit like the language of the gods from the city of heaven. And it's clear to anyone, even though the specific gestures may not be the same, that this is a grief ritual. A series of gestures one might bid to ancestors, or gods, or heroes, those who have passed, who were important to the person honoring them now in life. And when Yinghe lifts their head and rests their silvery gaze on all three graves. They simply say, "When I first met Strike Team Nova, I realized what I wanted to do, who I wanted to become. Someone who helped other people. A hero, I suppose. Meeting you for the first time here. Seeing your graves without really knowing your stories. It made me realize something in the same way that meeting Strike Team Nova helped me realize. Which is, the better future has to be fought for. And it has to be paid for in blood. I wish it didn't have to be yours. But thank you anyway. You'll never be forgotten." And they rise and take their place beside you, Lumièra, and Seir, nodding, and then turning their head towards the entrance to Tower 19. The kind of meaningful look in Zinnia's direction, and kind of shared, unvoiced knowledge of the sacredness of privacy for Zinnia and her left and right hands. And sunrise. And with that, Seir, Lumièra, and Yinghe, the three of you, progress your way into Tower 19. Zinnia, Astrid, Libra, and Begoun beside you. It's Begoun who steps up first. And he says, "I never got to know any of you in person. But the fact that you meant so much, and mean so much still, to Zinnia, who's one of the best people I've ever met, says a lot about each of you. And what you've done, what you've sacrificed. For Keseki. For Apis Fuyumi. You would have made damn good tears. I'm no stranger to losing people in the fight. As we struggle for a better future. For a world that all of us know is possible. It still hurts every time. But that's the least we, as the living, owe to y'all. Is to feel the hurt. Carry it with us. Remember it, always. Beacon takes a step back. And now Libra steps forward. Says, "Shit, can't believe I have to follow all that up. Damn, well, Begoun said what I was gonna say. So, that, but also... I really wish I could have shared a drink with each of y'all. Miss Cherrywood, Mixoshi, Mr. Juniper, thanks for taking care of Zinnia. She's got other folks to take care of her now. But needed y'all to get here. And that is a debt I can never repay. but with every bullet I fire and sink into the skull of the Lord, and with each new planet and home and community that we're able to liberate together, hopefully piece by piece, we can even the scales. Thank you. And Libra takes a step back as well. And it's just the three of you.
Zinnia takes a second. I think even out here in the weather, in the dust, it feels still in a way that she is not quite used to. But she thinks if there's any time, this is the time, where she removes her cloak and lets her arms out. She showcases the tattoos, the love letters she has to the family she doesn't get to see anymore. The cherrywood tree in a field of marigolds, the twin daggers crossed upon each other. These little love letters to sunrise. I think she gets down on one knee in front of Cherry's grave. Cherry, I need to start by apologizing to you. In the chaos of the dust and our arrival, I don't think I've ever properly grieved you as I did the others. Part of me always thought you'd manage to make your way out of the dust and find us. If anyone could have, it would have been you. You were always so strong, it felt like you could have survived anything. If anyone else could have made the journey to this place, it would have been you. In your absence, I've gotten strong, not just physically. I learned what it meant to be strong for others, to be the bulwark they need. You loved saying bulwark. To be the shoulder they cry on, to be the beacon in the dust. It's funny, I think I understand you more now than I ever did when I was younger. I love you. Thank you so much for all the lessons. And I think with that marigold placed, she presses her forehead to the tombstone. Just a little declaration of love. And I think her composure gets a little worse as she moves over to the next one. Still on one knee with the respect that Sochi deserves. Sochi, we did it. We're saving so much of Kaseki, and giving the rest of it the kind of ending it deserves. I think you'd be proud of the work we've done. To be fair, I think you'd be proud no matter how far I got. You always treated me and Junie like the kids you didn't have. And you were always like a mother to me. You helped guide me, helped me grow, helped me find resolve in myself I didn't always know I had. You gave me your song, and I carry it with me every day. I don't think there hasn't been a day since I lost you that I haven't sung one of your songs. I'm finally starting to share them with others. Bigoon here loves the lullaby. I think he would have loved cooking, singing, and just talking to you. First stop the tears, and then all of Apis Fiumi will know your songs, feel your magic. I love you. As your little devil always holds you in my heart. The last one. She presses her forehead towards Sochi's grave as well, that single marigold left, and moves to Juniper's. And she doesn't kneel. She sits cross-legged like two kids, sharing stories. She fiddles with her ring for a second. Junie, I'm sorry I lied to you that day. You probably already knew I'd never had a good poker face, but I just knew I couldn't leave Kaseki to the dust. I knew I couldn't let your story end like that. I knew I wanted your sacrifice to mean something. I hated what those last few days did to you. It took so much of your smile, your hopes, your dreams. So I held on to all of those for you. Your story became our story, and your dreams were always intertwined with mine. So I was going to be your hope, even when you had none left to give. It's weird. It's strange being older than you. I'd never thought I'd be this far along in my life without you. Honestly, you'd probably make fun of me for being this twisted up about you, even after all this time. Thinking about it, I do owe you another apology. I'm sorry I never told you I loved you, but I think you knew that too. You were my first everything, and I keep your heart right next to mine every day. She holds that ring and squeezes it real hard for a moment. I ended up being lucky enough to fall in love again to a Libra over there. And to be honest, I don't think you two would like each other at all. You'd probably hate each other. There's too much of the same stuff in the both of you. However, I think the one thing you two could agree on is that you both love me. They're keeping a good eye on me. Cover each other's backs perfectly, and we've saved each other's lives more times than we can count. So I'm in good hands. The entirety of the tears help keep me going, keep me together. They're kind of like the syndicate. We go from place to place, and we help those who need it. Don't want another Kaseki to happen. I've managed to be kind of important there, which means we made it. We're legends. Because I couldn't have made it this far without you. Thank you for being my fire, my love, my oldest friend, for giving me every ounce of your stubbornness. It saved my life more times than I can tell. And she presses her forehead there on that gravestone for a little bit longer than the others, mutters something softly, and presses her fingers to it. And you feel a slight murmuring, a slight humming of thrumming of magic in the air, as I think you see a small little inscription, not words, but a simple heart made on the stone in front.
As you converse with each member of Sunrise, Libra and Begoun beside you, smiling at your words, tears welling at others. Libra snorts in agreement about that comment about Juniper. And when you're done inscribing the heart, the three of you take some time to settle in around the graves, set up shop here, set up camp. And Begoun turns to you as this occurs, and he says, "So, how did you all first meet anyway?" And as you start to respond to him and all of the other questions both him and Libra will foist upon you because they want so desperately to know so much about these people who meant the world to you and who still do. Just like Baba, he could sense me crying. Oh, Mr. Man. Okay. We pan into the interior of Tower 19. Lumièra and Seir. The tower is exactly as you left it. As soon as you walk into the first room, it's like you stepped back in time. There's a thicker layer of dust in the air now, yes, but everything else on all three levels are undisturbed. The journals, the dog-eared books, the birding logs, the maps with handwritten notes scrawled across them, ones that were too big for Xainan to take. the mug with the inscription on the bottom from a friend who's no longer here. And of course, the tape recordings. What parts of the tower call to each of you? Let's start with Seir.
There are two main ones for Seir. Sorry, I need to get my voice back.
Take your time.
There are two parts in the tower that Seir is drawn to. And they are anything that has the touch from the operator, the mug, and the tape recordings. And as he marches around this place that is untouched, yet so full of everything from last time, I think Seir picks up that mug and looks at the inscription at the bottom. And it's so personal. A hand lovingly held this. The operator in their day-to-day life. And then he looks at the sporadic mess of everything, of the tape recorders, the different areas that the operator would have recorded in between birding logs, conversations with another tower, what was happening to Keseki in real time. And as Seir kind of like sits with all of this, he thinks on the operator. He thinks of all those memories. And he thinks of a moment when he turned away from Yinghe. And I think as he's holding this mug and holding a cassette, putting things aside to be archived, he turns to Yinghe, who is undoubtedly thumbing through the massive collection of records that this operator had, their excellent tastes in music. And Seir walks up to Yinghe. Mug, tape recorders in hand. As he shuffles up to them. You were going to show me something before. What was it?
Music. This one. And Yinghe pulls out one of the records in particular. And the album, the sleeve of it, depicts a bird in flight against the triple suns of Keseki. Not a photograph, an illustration. Some might consider it kitsch, a little corny. The usage of rather blocky shapes for an animal that should be elegant, very bright colors, but it perfectly matches the mug in your hand.
Hey, would you look at that?
They say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I rather like this cover. Didn't get the chance to listen to this one, nor any of these. I think the music of Operator 19 and Keseki is important for Soral and the archive crew to have too. In addition to all of the weather reports and logs and communications.
Yeah.
This is just as important.
And I think their voice, their thoughts, Soral would eat this up I'd like for Power 19's operator's voice to continue somehow with us.
It will. We'll never let the signal die out.
Ying-he? I didn't mean to turn away from you before.
Huh. I appreciate that. I know things were hard for you. Hard for all of us. Me as well. Still, I appreciate that.
Seir, excuse me. I
And
don't mean to
Seir
interrupt, but
puts his hand in his pocket and lifts it up to his face. Yes, Oracle.
can we please go to the broadcast room now?
All right. And Seir smiles at Ying-he and holds the Oracle very softly and gently as they climb up towards the broadcast room. You feeling all right, Oracle?
Yeah. I will.
And as you ascend the ladder up to the broadcast room, you pan back down through one of the windows of the rooms, past an old and long unused bantam bird nest on one of the outlying struts, to find you, Lumièra. What areas of the tower are you most drawn to? And how are you facing your ghost here? The ghost of your former self haunting this space as you make your way through the radio tower with your photographic memory. You see and remember in perfect detail the rooms you explored, the objects you picked up and interacted with. And, of course, you can remember, perhaps with more detail, that would lean this toward being a curse more so than a blessing, the emotions that you felt as you learned about what happened to this place, and of course the actions that it drove you to take. So where in this tower do we find you? And what objects are you collecting for the archive?
We find her in the living space. She's kind of making a slow circumnavigation around the room, recalling bits and pieces of things that she saw the first round, but holds a bit more weight now, considering the circumstances. You probably see streaks in the dust from where her fingertips ran along the edges of bookshelves and tables and counters, rubbing her fingertips in between themselves, because while she is observing, that's still is a bit of sensory overload for her, so she can't help but try to clear her fingers, but continues to do it anyway, almost as if it's soothing to an extent. And then she thinks about things that are considered important. And you leave from a place that doesn't really give you time to prep to leave beforehand. What are the things that you grab that are important. She glances over her shoulder briefly to see Seir and Yinghe just looking through things. She trusts the both of them enough to grab things of importance. She will verbalize that of things that are important. Grab journals, grab artwork, music, anything along the lines of that. The things that preserve culture. And then she thinks about it. Science has to be preserved just as much as culture does, as much as language, as much as music. So she gravitates towards the weather logs, the bird manuals, things like that. Somewhere along there's got to be signs, there's got to be patterns, there's got to be something that was there that wasn't there before and became bigger than anything anyone else could have thought of before it was too late. Maybe in the midst of all of this, there's warnings. Red flags that some people have overlooked. Someone in retrospect can look back on and follow the steps. Maybe there's something here so that this doesn't have to happen again. So
As you
that's
collect-
where she is.
As you collect this extremely valuable data, the weather logs, the climate reports, we find you in the records room as you're compiling and sifting through documents. Not too far from where we see a shattered holopad from where you had destroyed it, cracked it. And the data that still lingers inside its broken battery pack. Transmissions from Tower 19 to the Galactic Council itself, transmissions of environmental reports that had been dismissed for years and years and years until they culminated into a mandatory evacuation notice. And at the time, of course, the rage that had coursed through you, that had driven you ultimately to vault. Now, we see you performing a different action, perhaps even more necessary one.
Becoming
To
myself.
That's right. That's right. Becoming the person that you've always been, the person you were always meant to be, someone who could save in equal measure as someone who could destroy. And what that saving looks like, you now have so much clarity on.
It's all about balance. She sees that now.
We pan up now into the broadcast room, where you and the Oracle and Yikua see it. You see her. Strike Team Sunrise's Oracle. Still plugged into the console. Faintly glowing, even after all these years. It still has power. Has been the thing. The source of energy. The spark of life and hope that keeps Tower 19 transmitting. And Seir, as you draw closer to Sunrise's Oracle, you can feel your own Oracle in the palm of your hand. swivel and fix its lens in the direction of its sibling. And it says,
Oh, there you are. Seir, can you please lower me so we're eye to eye?
Okay. Seir does exactly that.
Oh, look at you. You've worked so hard for so long, sister. But it's time. It's time for you to come home. There's one more thing you and I have to do. And then you can rest. I promise. Seir, if you could unplug her.
Okay. And Seir looks towards the other oracle, Sunrise's oracle. Very gingerly, gently unplugs her.
there's a little bit of a beep as the light pulses briefly from around the lens of this oracle, and it fades down as it's no longer actively pumping energy into the tower. And you can feel it in the palm of your other hand, Seir. There's still a small spark of life in it. And your oracle says to Sunrises,
It's nice to meet you. I'm Nova's oracle. I'm not really like the others, but we're siblings because we both came from the Prime Oracle, from Mama. I guess technically this one is a sibling too, because he also came from Mama. But he's not an orb like us. But that's okay. We can forgive him for that, kind of.
Seir raises an eyebrow at being spoken to in the third person like this. But there's something that he chews on from the Oracle's revelations. He too came from the Prime Oracle.
Alright then. His pockets are pretty comfy, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, Seir. Sunrise and I are ready.
Is that how you speak to your brother? Alright, come on.
and Seir,
And
you
Seir.
slip Sunrise's oracle into your other pocket. You turn, and you descend from the console room after grabbing what you need to grab from it. You find Lumièra. Take what you need from the tower. And together, you, Lumièra, and Yinghua, and your oracle, and Sunrises, climb back down toward the base of the radio tower, toward the 3 graves of Sunrise. And we're gonna go to break there. Thank you all so much for tuning in so far. We are gonna be back in just about 10 minutes. Please take a bio break, stretch, take a second, get some water, get a snack, and we will see you soon for the last half of the last stream of Arc 4. Bijou. Howdy, Transplay nerds! It is, once again, Sponsor Connie time. Arc 4 is proudly sponsored by Hero Forge, a website where you can design and print your very own custom miniatures. But you already knew that, didn't you? Because the spectacular Hero Forge has sponsored us every single arc so far. We've stuck together through all sorts of exciting updates, like Hero Forge Pro, statuettes, color-printed plastic, premium plastic, but now, it's time. It's time for one of the most exciting Hero Forge updates ever. Custom dice. Hero Forge is now offering 3D printed custom dice, where you can put literally anything into the clear material of the die. Each die is printed in the same layers as the item or character bust inside of it, resulting in a solid, perfectly weighted chunk of math rock. You decide the size, color, and shape of your die, the size and color of the numbers on top, and, of course, what the die contains.
Put a frog in it.
Don't die-lay! Visit bit.ly/transforge to design your very own custom miniature or custom dice today. Hello, Transplay Nerds! It's your favorite part of every Chaos Protocol stream. Sponsor Connie time. For Arc 4, we are thrilled to partner with the Working Families Party, a progressive third party in the United States building a multiracial coalition of working class people to make our communities a better place to live for everyone. The Working Families Party is fighting for universal healthcare, taxing the rich, and higher wages. If you're in the US and you want to make a difference in your community, I highly recommend checking out the Working Families Party and getting involved with your local chapter. In fact, let's take an action together right now to sign a petition by the Working Families Party to break up big media companies. This petition means a lot to us as indie actual play performers telling authentic stories, fighting censorship, and resisting authoritarianism. Go to bit.ly/WFPtrans and add your name to the list. By signing this petition, you will join the Working Families Party's mailing list and receive opportunities to help them organize, educate, and fundraise. Let's build a better future together.